Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a My Two Cent video for this week, for the week of July 3rd to the 9th, though. I hope all of you out there had a happy and safe 4th of July, whether it was watching the fireworks or spending times with friends or family, or even basically, having a barbecue or anything like that. Hopefully you guys had a enjoyable 4th of July, though. But anyway, we got 4 stories to cover this week, including E3 2023 is going to be returning in a, people coming to the event and all that stuff. We've also heard rumors about GTA4 and RDR, Red Dead Redemption Remastered, and how those games are supposedly not going to happen, though. We also have, basically, what we're talking about is basically Sucker Punch downplaying some rumors in regards of Sly Cooper and Infamous, and Nintendo seems to be launching a certain repair service program or something like that. If you're interested where I got the source of these information, though, links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. But before we get started, I like to do what I like to call is the quick My Two Cent. Stories that kind of caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details. The first one is that apparently Nintendo has filed a trademark for the Donkey Kong series, though. Now, some are speculating this could be Nintendo might be announcing a new entry in the Donkey Kong series, though, and that is a possibility. We have heard rumors about it. But at the same time, it could just them, updating their trademarks and all that stuff. I mean, companies do that like all the time. So, yes, it could be signs of a new Donkey Kong game, but it could just be a sign of them just updating trademark. In other words, business as usual, though. We also learned that supposedly we'll be seeing a remake of Lollipop Chainsaw, the game that was a collaboration between Suda51 and James Gunn, be released in next year in 2023, though. Now, no word of any platforms at this time, though, but I assume most likely will be PS5 and Xbox Series S and X, PC probably. No word if it will be coming to the Nintendo Switch or not, but if you're asking my honest opinion, I really think I would like to see this come to the Nintendo Switch, though. One thing we've heard is that supposedly Suda51 and James Gunn are not directly involved in this remake or anything like that. We also learned that Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak basically was able to hit its 2 million marks, and certainly it seems as though Capcom must be very pleased, though, as the game has certainly done or this expansion, though, has done very well for Capcom. So that certainly is definitely must be put a smile on Capcom's face, though. Monster Hunter Rise certainly has been doing very well for Capcom, though. Even though it's only available on the PC and the Nintendo Switch, still continues to perform very well for them, though. We also learned about this person basically pushing to archive these manuals that existed during the Super Nintendo days. Now, for those who are not familiar, back during the days of the NES, Super NES, or even going as far as maybe like the Atari, 2600 possibly, or anything like that. Usually when you buy like a cartridge or anything like that, you get a manual. Sometimes the manuals will give you go into details ranging from the backstories to basically, how to play the games and all that stuff. Nowadays, we rarely see manuals into physical copies of video games, though. So it's certainly nice to see how this person is doing what he can to digitally, archive these Super Nintendo manuals, though. We also learned that in terms of the Switch version of Nier Automata, it has been reported that basically Virtuos will be handling the port job for it, though. And to me, Virtuos has done a good job with certainly porting games over to the Nintendo Switch. While some games like The Outer Worlds certainly got mixed results, though, we've seen cases where they ported over games like Final Fantasy XII, Final Fantasy X and X2, to Dark Souls Remaster, to XCOM 2, and the BioShock trilogy over to the Nintendo Switch. So I do have some confidence in them handling this port job, though. We'll still have to wait and see, though, but it's nice to hear that Virtuos is handling the port of the Switch version of Nier Automata, though. Hopefully, I'm hoping that game sells well and we get Nier Replicant over to the Nintendo Switch, though. We also learned that supposedly Intellivision was basically abandoning the trademark for basically their upcoming console, the Amico, AMICOS, although it has been reported that supposedly they re-put that trademark in, so some people thought this was not coming out, but they're determined to release it, so we'll see if that happens though, alright? We also learned that supposedly a company has basically used what apparently looks like the logo for the GameCube for basically what they are describing their first NFT consoles, and right now the response to it has not been exactly great or anything like that. The idea of this NFT consoles, not to mention NFTs and blockchains, have not gotten the best response to a lot of folks and all. We also learned that supposedly Nintendo has halted operations in Russia. That's been reported though, which has had a negligible effect though. No word on the reason why Nintendo has done it though, but I think it's safe to assume what the main reason is. Obviously in protest of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So they may not admit it though, but I think it's pretty obvious what the main reason is why they suspended hold other operations in Russia though. We also learned that Asbury, or basically the developers of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2 for the Nintendo Switch, has released a patch to fix the game-breaking bug. Personally, I think that's great that they finally released that patch, but at the same time, this was definitely a major oversight, and that should not have existed in the first place, though. We also learned that supposedly Aaron Greensberg has teased that there will be a lot more unannounced Xbox games in the work, though. I'm kind of curious to see what kind of games that they are working on. Maybe they'll revive some older IPs. We know Fable's coming back. Maybe dig into some of Rare's game, give us a actual proper Banjo-Kazooie, or excuse me, another Conker's game, or even or basically whatever could come out there. I'm sure there are some games out there that they're announcing though, or could be some new IP, so we'll have to wait and see though. We also finally got the release date of confirmed for God of War Ragnarok. It's aimed for November 9th, if I'm saying that correctly. They released a new, basically a cinematic trailer, plus they also basically showed off basically the collector's edition, but it's been reported that the collector's edition will only be a digital version. You won't have the disc or anything like that. And some people, not everyone seems to be pleased with that though. There are some who are okay with it, some who are not, so I do plan on getting the game, but I plan to stick with just getting the physical version though. We also learned that in terms of performance of Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII, it's going to be a bit different than on the Nintendo Switch than it is going to be on the other systems though. Honestly, I'm not entirely surprised by this announcement, to be exact though. I assume they'll probably aim to try to make it at a stable 30 frames per second. My hope is maybe 1080p when docked, 720p when undocked though. Still, it would have been nice if they were able to hit 60 frames per second, even if dropping the resolution down to 720p. So it's a little bit unfortunate though, but I'm hoping that the Switch version, it runs well, even if they're aiming for 30 frames per second though. We also learned that this, supposedly there's a leaker out, basically from a Chinese gamer who leaked about the Splatoon 3 Switch that was recently announced, a Switch 3 OLED with I'm sorry if I'm not saying it correct. Announced this though, claiming that there will be a new model for the Nintendo Switch being revealed this September. While this leaker did get the Splatoon one correct though, as some claim though, I'm still approaching with some caution though, because I mean, it's possible Nintendo could announce a new Nintendo Switch this September though. They are known to pull a rabbit out of their hat before though, but I'm still taking this with a grain of salt. I'm not sure this information is, I'm pretty much sure this information is inaccurate or anything like that, but we'll find out in September to see if that happens or not. But right now I'm leaning towards it's unlikely to happen. And last but not least, in a non-movie thing, we actually got to see the trailers for Clerks 3. That's right, a third entry in the Clerks series though. The original one back in 1996 is considered, or when it came out though, is considered a classic by all means, and it still remains a classic to this day. Clerks 2 was funny as well. Clerks 2 was funny, maybe not as good as the original one, but still good though. I've also seen other Kevin Smith movies like Dogma, basically Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. So I'm curious to see how this one is handling though. It looks like it's Randall trying to make a movie and all that stuff, so I'm very curious to see how this is all going to play out and all. Okay, with the quick My 2 cent part now done, we're going to get started with our first one. And this one has to do with Nintendo, particularly with their repair service though. Now, majority of these companies out here, including Nintendo, have this sort of policy that you can sort of ship if the console is broken or anything like that, to basically repair the system if there's like a defect or anything like that. And obviously this also, one of the biggest defects we've been seeing with the Nintendo Switch has been, majority of it has been the infamous Joy-Con drift. While not everyone has experienced Joy-Con drift, there's no denying the fact that this kind of situation does exist though, and there have been cases where some people have had experienced Joy-Con drift before, to the point that we've seen lawsuits have happened and all that. Well, apparently it seems that Nintendo is launching somewhat of a different kind of repair service, a subscription type of repair service, currently right now in Japan. According to an article from Video Game Chronicles, though, it reads that, quote, Nintendo has launched a new subscription service for Switch repair in Japan, priced at 200 yens per month, $1.50 here in the US, or 120 pounds, I think it's pounds, in the UK, or 2,000 yens per year, $15 in the US, or 12 pounds. Y-Care is billed as a flat rate repair warrant service that can be subscribed to at any time. Products cover include Switch and Switch-like consoles, Joy-Con controllers, the Switch dock, and AC adapters. On a annual basis, members can claim up to 6 repairs, including 2 that involves the replacement of the console, and up to 100,000 yen, $738 in US dollars, in repair costs. In addition to natural breakdowns, water damage, and accidental damage are covered. Users need a smartphone or tablet with a camera function to subscribe to Y-Care, which also covers shipping costs. It's unclear if there are plans to launch the service outside of Japan, but we'll ask Nintendo if we'll update the story if we hear back from it though. Continue on with the article. One of the most regular complaints with Switch hardware has been the tendency of its Joy-Con controllers to drift, a fault which caused analog sticks to randomly move and input commands to the console. Nintendo has faced multiple Switch Joy-Con drift lawsuits, alleging that it is aware of the problem, but it has chosen to continue selling defective products rather than fix it. The company said last October that the Joy-Cons included in the Switch OLED model are the latest version with improvements made to combat analog stick drift though. However, the general manager of Nintendo's technology development division also said that all analog sticks wear over time because parts are physically in contact. For example, car tires wear out as the car moves and they are in constant friction with the ground to rotate, says one of the general managers. So with that same premise, we asked ourselves how we can improve the durability, and not only that, how can we both operatable and durability coexist. It's something we are continuing tackling. So does this mean that this will basically mean that the Joy-Con drift issue is going to go away? Probably not. I think we're still going to, I wouldn't be surprised if we hear some issues of another Joy-Con lawsuit or anything like that. Having said that though, this doesn't sound like a bad idea. Something like $15 a year for Nintendo to sort of replace or fix some of the issues you have with their Nintendo Switch though. So this certainly sounds like a good idea, to be exact though. Now, whether or not it will come to the West though, that's another thing though. It's unclear at this time. This thing could just be only for Japan only, and may not come over here. Maybe Nintendo of America might modify their repair service and come up with something similar to what Nintendo of Japan is. So there's multiple ways we can look at this though, but overall I would say this is a very interesting approach that Nintendo is making to their repair service for the Switch and the Joy-Cons though. So it's going to be really interesting to see if this makes its way over to the West or not, or if it's going to, or if it does, what form or capacity it might though. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2. And this one has to do with Sucker Punch and the response to rumors about another entry in the Infamous or the Sly Cooper series. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my 2 cent video for this week. And for this one, I'm going to be talking about the developer Sucker Punch though. Now, most people know the name Sucker Punch, have heard of them, especially if you're a PlayStation fan, from 2020's very enjoyable Ghost of Tsushima though. But most people may remember them during the PS3 and even during the PS2 era, famous for basically, the Infamous series to basically the Sly Cooper series during the PS2 era, with a fourth game that was brought over to the PS3 but wasn't developed by Sucker Punch, to even their N64 game, I think Rockets on Wheel, if I'm saying that name correctly though. Now, what's interesting, I'm bringing this up, is that earlier this year, there were rumors going around about the possibility that another Infamous or Sly Cooper game was in development at Sucker Punch. Well, recently, Sucker Punch sort of responded to this to a certain degree in regards of this, based off a blog post they posted out. So, according to the blog post, let me say it out. It says, quote, "As we approach 25 years since Sucker Punch first opened, we're proud to look back at the legacy of characters and stories we created, from Rockets, Robots on Wheels, to Sly Cooper and Infamous, and most recently, Ghost of Tsushima. Though, as our games continue to grow in scales and complexity, they require the full attention of our studio, with the focus on our current project, which at this moment we don't know what that might be, though. We have no plans to revise Infamous or Sly Cooper right now, and no other studio is currently working on the project related to those franchises either. These characters are very special and near and dear to our heart, so while we will never say never to reopening those doors down the road, for now, there's no Infamous or Sly Cooper game in development. We know that many people still play these games even today, so we're performing maintenance on Infamous 2's UGC servers soon to move them to a new home that will keep them up and running a bit longer. We will eventually need to sunset these, but we will keep them running for as long as possible for players who are still active though. We're also working to put Cole's Legacy's DLC from Infamous Second Son, which was previously only available as part of the Collector's Edition, on PlayStation stores in all territories for anyone who missed it. Thank you to everyone for an incredible 24 plus years of support. Your love and appreciation are what fuels us to make a new game and new worlds, and we look forward to continue to bring new and excellent ideas to life for many years to come. We're not ready to talk about whatever might be next, but we hope you keep following us whatever we're ready to share more from the Sucker Punch production though. So, I mean, I understand that it's all hands on deck, and they're probably working on something, whether it's a sequel to Ghost of Tsushima or a prequel for that matter, to basically something new. I am kind of curious though, because I do like the games that Sucker Punch has put out. At the same time though, it is a little bit disappointing to hear that we're not getting either another Infamous or Sly Cooper game, considering how Sly Cooper Season Time, given how the ending was set up, you would think they would want to continue that though. So it is a little bit unfortunate, because those are good games to be exact, and I would like to see them make a comeback, especially considering we have, given how well Ratchet & Clank has been doing and how that has been, we've been seeing entries of those games from on the PS3 to the PS4 to recently with the PS5 with Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. I would love to see, another entry of Sly Cooper, or basically another Infamous, even if it's a remaster of the PS3 games though, or PS2 games though. I would definitely like to see them make a comeback, along with Jak and Daxter, to be exact, because if there's one area I would criticize Sony at the very least, is they're heavily focused on just, like the AAA titles, narrative-driven titles, which, don't get me wrong, I'm not against the narrative-driven titles, though. I think they are good. I'm looking forward to God of War Ragnarok. I did enjoy God of War 2018, though, and I am enjoying Horizon Forbidden West. I did like the first one, Horizon Zero Dawn. So I'm not saying those games can't exist or anything like that, but I would like to see some older IPs, like Sly Cooper, like Infamous, like Jak and Daxter, get new life though, because I think that they would be a great addition to add to have on the PS5. That would absolutely be great though. Whether that happens or not, that remains to be seen though. Maybe one day we'll see another entry from those games again, or a remaster though, but in either case, it's a little bit unfortunate we're not going to see anything on Infamous as Sly Cooper at this time. So overall, it is a little bit disappointing to see that we're not going to see another Infamous or Sly Cooper game at this time though. Obviously, they're not going to close the door on it though, and I'm still kind of curious to see what what Sucker Punch is working on, but I will admit it is very unfortunate in regards of those who are hoping for another Sly Cooper or another Infamous game though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get to part 3, and this one has to do with rumors regarding the remaster of GTA 4 and Red Dead Redemption, and how it seems as though these remasters might not be happening at all. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our third part of our My Two Cent video. And for this one, I want to be talking about the so-called rumors at the time about the possibility of a remaster of GTA 4, Grand Theft Auto 4, or Red Dead Redemption. Now, for a lot of gamers, though, some of those games hold a special place into a lot of people's hearts, though. And having played these games, I will say they are enjoyable. And while I do enjoy GTA 4, Red Dead Redemption, I think, just holds a special place along with Red Dead Redemption 2, because to me, I just like the setting of those games, the Wild West setting. You also get somewhat of a little bit of a Quentin Tarantino vibe out of the game, and that certainly isn't necessarily a bad thing. Now, a lot of people some people have asked to see like a remaster of these games, because up to this point, they've only been confined to, outside of PC, though, the PS3 and the Xbox 360, although you could get the game through play the 360 version on your Xbox Series S and X, and your Xbox One though. And there have been rumors about a remaster for these games for quite some time. However, it seems as though, at least according to what we've been hearing, the fallout from GTA Definitive Edition basically may have had a negative impact on whether these games, basically Rockstar even moving forward with this game. Now, this started off with a tweet set off by someone by the name of supposedly Tez2. And basically this person is known for leaking, some information in regards of basically, for like GTA Online and all that. Now, according to what this person wrote on July 4th, 2022, they said, quote, "As per reliable source with clear accuracy on Rockstar's plans, remasters of GTA 4 and Red Dead Redemption 1 were on the table a few years ago, but Rockstar chose not to proceed with the project in mind. The poor reception of the trilogy's Definitive Edition, Grand Theft Auto Trilogy Definitive Edition, might have been a reason behind that decision." According to GameStop, they reported that supposedly in a tweet reply to another user on Twitter, Ted2 also clarified that the remasters weren't in full production, more just something was planned, with Rockstar looking at the trilogy to greenlight more remasters. Well, after that tweet came out, Kotaku did a follow-up on that, and they seem to indicate, at least according to what they reported, that this probably was true after all. According to an article from Kotaku, it reads that, quote, following recent rumors, Kotaku can confirm via a source that Rockstar Games is currently focusing on Grand Theft Auto 6 and have shelved all remakes following the poor reception of Grand Theft Auto The Trilogy, the Definitive Edition. Yesterday, a tweet from Tez, an official, reliable, and trusted GTA insider, caught the attention of many Rockstar fans. According to the tweet, Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto 4 remasters were no longer on the table, possibly due to the horrendous mess that was last year's GTA Trilogy remake. While some question if this was true, I can confirm that Ted's tweet is accurate and lines up with what I have been told. According to sources with knowledge of Rockstar's plans and future projects, the publisher is hoping the folks will forget all about the critically panned and botched GTA Classic Remaster released last year, while it focused most of its resources and energy on its next big game, Grand Theft Auto 6, which Rockstar earlier this year confirmed was in development. However, while the current plan is to get Grand Theft Auto 6 finished and out the door, I'm told a Red Dead Redemption and GTA 4 remaster aren't entirely out of scope and could happen in the future after GTA 6 ships, though. They reported that last year in our report confirmed the existence of then rumored GTA Trilogy remaster. We also explained that at the time, Rockstar had planned to remaster Red Dead Redemption. At the time of the report, the idea of remastering RDR had been on the table for the publisher for a few years already, but now, in the wake of last year's remaster flopping and demand for GTA 6 growing, the publisher has shifted plans again to move forward to the next big thing and not look back, at least for the time being. At the time of that report, I was told by sources the reception and sales of the remaster would play a big factor in future remaster projects, though. Basically, it says, as for what to expect in Grand Theft Auto 6, none of my sources could share any specific details, but it seems, for now, at least it seems the plan is to move forward and hope people forget about the past. Now, assuming this information is all correct, though, it is to me, it is disappointing, but not shocking, to be exact, though. I mean, when you look back at it, though, I would have really been down with the idea of a remaster of Red Dead Redemption or Grand Theft Auto 6. I mean, I would have been open to the idea if they remastered it and brought it over to the Nintendo Switch. The idea of a Red Dead Redemption on Nintendo Switch sounds very neat and all that stuff. I mean, I could see that game being ported over to Switch more than, say, Red Dead Redemption 2. I can't rule out the possibility of a Red Dead Redemption 2 coming to the Nintendo Switch. I just think the most likely scenario is the first Red Dead Redemption would make its way over to the Nintendo Switch. But after we heard about how bad the GTA Definitive Editions were including on the Switch, and how they did like the bare minimum, yeah, I can see why some people have doubts about them handling this kind of game, though. And that's really a shame, because GTA 4 and Red Dead Redemption 2 are good games, and I would have liked to see some updates here and there, though. And it's just really a shame how Rockstar has handled some of these games, though. As for their claim that they want people to forget about this and move forward, while it's true some people might forget about it, not everyone is going to forget about it, especially in the age of the internet and all. Not everyone has forgotten how Randy Pitchford, Gearbox, and even Sega misled folks with Alien Colonial Marines. Not everyone has forgot how Ubisoft basically showed off Watch Dogs and then showed off another trailer which turned out to be not as good as the first trailer, to be exact, and then tried to walk back on it and got called out, to the infamous, Assassin's Creed Unity debacle, though. So I seriously doubt people are going to forget that, or what EA did with Star Wars Battlefront 2 and whole situation surrounding Anthem either. So yeah, I'm not really sure people will forget about it. And after seeing how Rockstar handled the Definitive Edition, for me, I have no plans to pre-order GTA 6 and will be a bit more cautious about what kind of games Rockstar puts out, because it's really a shame, because there are good games Rockstar has put out But when you take a look at what they are, to take a look at how they handle GTA Definitive Edition, along with the issue of crunch and everything like that, it just makes you question some of their decisions going forward. Maybe being all hands on deck for GTA 6 is probably the right thing to do, but it is still very much unfortunate that we're not going to be getting these kind of remasters, again, assuming this rumor is true, anytime soon. So overall, I would say, even though this is a rumor, I would lean more towards this probably is true, though. It is a shame, to be exact, because these are considered classics, though, but after how the GTA Definitive Editions were handled, I can see why some people are not comfortable with Rockstar remastering these classics in any way. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get to part 2, and this one has to do with E3 2023 happening, and it looks like we will be having a indoor event with it, not to mention some new people are going to probably take charge of it, though. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, we are back with our fourth and final part of our My True Cent video, and for this one, I wanted to take a look at basically E3, particularly for upcoming E3 2023 when that happens supposedly next year. Now, E3 has certainly had its ups and downs over the years. In the beginning, it was viewed as sort of like the big event that you would see a lot of, big video game announcements and all that stuff. It kind of like was sort of like the Christmas, or being Jewish, Hanukkah for a lot of gamers and all that stuff. But over the years, there have been questions about its relevance, though, and how some publishers and developers have kind of somewhat moved away from E3 to focus heavily on their own event, like for example Nintendo with their Nintendo Directs and all that stuff. So there has been questions about its relevance over the years. Then, of course, 2020 happened and the COVID pandemic happened, which really shut down a lot of things, though, including E3 2020, though. And when they tried to do E3 in 2021 with sort of a digital event, and that has sort of been got a mixed result to basically not doing E3 this year, with Summer Games Fest sort of taking over, though. Side note, though, following this E3 2023 announcement, there was a tweet that Summer Game Fest will also happen again next year and so forth, though. But anyway, it seems as though that several companies that worked on, or folks who organized the PAX event and the basically New York Comic Con, are basically going to be the ones in charge of E3 2023, though, and sort of work to maybe change certain things around. In an article from Nintendo Life, it reads that, quote, "It has been confirmed that E3 2023 is definitely happening and will be run by the event company ReedPop as part of the partnership with the Entertainment Software Association. As details in the press release, E3 will be returning the second week of June next year as an in-person event. New organization ReedPop runs several other large-scale events, including PAX East and West, EGX, New York Comic-Con, and Star Wars Celebration, among others. The events will welcome back publishers, developers, journalists, content creators, manufacturers, buyers, and licensors, according to the press release, and will also highlight digital showcase and features in-person consumer components, if I say it correctly. E3 2019 was the last physical event of the LA-based video game expo before disruption caused by COVID-19 led to the cancellation in 2020 and 2022, and a digital-only event in 2021. The president of ESA had previously confirmed that E3 will be back in 2023, but following the event's cancellation this year, question marks remained. ReedPop's president Lance Fendersman, if I'm saying the name correctly, had this to say, quote, "With the support and endorsement of the ESA, we're going to build a world-class event serving the global gaming industry in a new and broad way than we have already already do at Repop through our portfolio of world-leading events and website. Repop's global VP of gaming went further, promising a return to form for next year's event, saying, quote, "For years we listened, heard, and studied the global gaming community's feedback. E3 2023 will be recognizable, epic, a return to form that honors what always works, what reshapes and what reshaped and what didn't, and setting a new benchmark for video game expos in 2023 and beyond. A streamlined and secure media registration for the event is apparently scheduled to begin in late 2022. So to me though, it's certainly nice to hear that E3 is going to be happening again next year. I think that is great though. I do hope there is a way to kind of reinvent it to a certain degree though, and make it something that people can actually tune into, especially in a time where, like I said before, other companies are pulling out to even hosting their own event, to be exact though. We've seen in the past, Sony hasn't done several E3s for the last couple of years, to even basically, like I said, Nintendo hosting their own, Treehouse, to their own Nintendo Directs though. So I would like to see it return to some form and some capacity. Obviously, some areas may have to change, and some parts they're going to have to ditch, to be exact though, but I'm hoping next year we'll get a E3, we'll build that kind of excitement that a lot of us remember over, the past years and so forth though. So hopefully next year it gets a better response, and I can see why some people would like to see that event happen again following after, with COVID, not to mention currently with the whole monkeypox situation though. I can understand why people would like to see, E3 return. So let's hope that E3 next year becomes something that a lot of us would be pleased to see though, and not be like, oh, this E3 was bad or anything like that, or E3 isn't relevant anymore. So overall though, I'm curious to see what E3 2023 is going to be like though. I hope it's good though, I really do, and I hope it's a sign that we are sort of somewhat returning to normal to a certain degree though. Obviously COVID is still out there, and we still have the situation with the monkeypox and all, but hopefully it means that some form of normality has returned, and I do hope that E3 2023 does become a success though. Okay, this concludes this My Two Cent video for this week, for the July 3rd to the 9th. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about this subscription repair service that Nintendo is doing in Japan? Do you think this is a good idea in any way? Do you think they should bring this kind of service over to the West in any way? Do you think they should, and if they do, should they copy how Japan does it? Or do you think they should come up with something that would fit well for over here, like either in the US or the UK or EU or Australia for that matter? What are your thoughts about the comments Sucker Punch made in regards of Sly Cooper Infamous though? Are you a little bit disappointed to hear that another entry of Sly Cooper Infamous are not in the work, or a remaster for that matter though? Are you curious to see what new game that Sucker Punch is working on, to be exact? Do you think they should remaster, like the first 4 Sly Coopers, or the first, 3 Infamous games to the PS5 in any way, though? Do you think they should do another Infamous or Sly Cooper game at all? What are your thoughts about the rumor about the possibility that the remaster of GTA4 and Red Dead Redemption are not happening, though? Do you agree with this rumor, as the impact of the GTA Definitive Edition may have had a negative impact on it, though? Do you think they should still do a remaster of Red Dead Redemption or Grand Theft Auto 4 at all, though? Or do you think it's best to just leave those games behind and not really work on the remaster at all? And what are your thoughts about E3 2023 happening now? Are you excited to hear that it's going to be an in-person event, though? Do you think that this new company helping to work on it will make E3 more relevant, though? Or do you think E3 will just, you still think it's no longer relevant and will probably fade from existence going forward and all? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye.